Good morning, friends, fellow flyers, fellow Gwillians. Get us all in there. Good morning, fellow Gwillians. It's time to start the wing. Let's turn this down so we can see what we're doing here. I hope I'm not too loud. I think the microphone is working great. I listened to it. The background noise is being somewhat suppressed a little bit, so you don't hear much background noise. So I'm really excited about the microphone working well. Thank you again to Brian Phillips for sharing some links there to help me get a microphone to work with this video. I'm here. I'm going to start my wing. I've got the whole wing laid out here. I'm going to take a saran wrap or plastic wrap to stick to the glass. It just clings to the glass. They used to, I think I had years ago, they'd have what they call clean free wrap. I don't remember for sure, but I'm going to lay out some plastic here and I'm going to pull it and make it nice and smooth. Try to get all the wrinkles out, make sure it lays down nice and wrinkle free. So I can have a clean, smooth surface to work from without any wrinkles. Pull it, try to push down in the middle first. The bigger area is harder to work, so I'll try to do this here. I'm pushing the air bubbles away from the center. I don't know if you want to use glass. This is a method that was taught to me by Richard Miller and Jack McGilvery in the free flight world, or free flight. So I want to always give a shout out for them for telling me to use the glass to keep nice flat areas to work in. And I don't have to use so many pins or anything. Let's see if we can try to stick this down. Make it lace nice and tight and smooth. Some people like watching videos like this, and some people like watching paint dry. It's just really boring. So if you find this boring, remember the arrow key, right and left arrow key on your keyboard. If you have a PC or computer, you can speed it up. You can fast forward or back it up by clicking those right and left arrow keys. So if there's spots in a video you want to kind of speed through a little bit, just tap the right and left arrow key to move forward or to back up quickly. All right. I want to say thank you to Cliff Harvey. He's shared building tips, and that's what this is all about. Coming together as a group to share the tips and different ideas. I appreciate everybody's opinion and their idea. We did a scarf joint on this leading edge right here, and I'm going to share with you how to do that. Plus, check out Cliff Harvey's. If I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize. But we take a leading edge here, trim it out, and you basically lay it in place over the plans. Look directly down over the plans. I'm using this other piece as a brace, or keep a straight edge level. Then I lay the other piece on top of the cut that I want. But I'm lining up my ruler on the paper so that I can see straight. I'm looking straight down, and I'm looking at the piece of wood that I want to cut. So I lay this in place. You can check out Cliff's video. Also, thank you, Cliff, for this tip. I thought I'd try this. It was a good idea, so I like great ideas. So looking straight down at this, I can see that if I cut this at this angle. Now, when you're using an X-Acto knife and you're trying to cut wood, I can't stress enough not to try to not to try to cut this hard and fast all at one time. You want to cut very lightly to get started in the right direction. The wood grain will pull you. So I'm going to gently start dragging my blade across, gently, very gently. Whoops, see how it'll grab it and pull it? And then once it starts cutting, you can tell when it starts digging into the wood a little bit. I've got the plastic down, so I will now need to move it out of the way of the plastic. Trying to keep my ruler level here. Okay, put that back in place. Try to keep it straight with the cut, and put some pressure on here, and then be gentle. Take your time. It will cut. Make multiple cuts. Don't try to cut this all at one time, because the wood grain, you got to go through that wood grain slow and easy. Once you have it cut, there you go. This is called a scarf joint. You can see two long pieces. Now we got put one back in place. We'll put the one in the right location. It goes back down the direction, and then you take the other side and simply flip it over, and it stays in the direction of the cut. Now, isn't that an awesome idea? Thank you, Cliff, for sharing that with us, and we highly appreciate that. We're going to sand it just a little bit. Everybody has some neat ideas. So just be willing to share them. Is not a problem. Is not a problem caring about somebody and sharing their ideas. That's the beginners. This is a beginner build, off, fly off. So our goal is that we are learning and helping one another in this contest. It's not just about me. It's about being together, enjoying this build. All right, I'm gonna put this back in place right here, and then this gets glued upside down because it will lay against that angle and be done. So okay, I'm gonna use glue. I'm gonna use the Titebond glue. I just like it better to me. I don't have no problem with it. It just takes 20 minutes for it to kind of settle in and dry. So I'm happy with the performance of that glue. I'm going to take a little bead of glue, and I'm going to put them here to hold the area in place. It's like taking pins and hold it in place. Okay. And once you have it in place, take the other side and put that upside down. Do a test fit first. Make sure it's going to be in the right direction. All right. Then we'll glue this. I'll take toothpick, apply the glue. I'm adding extra glue, but I don't care. We want it to make sure I got it glued well. And then I'll add a few dots along the way to kind of hold it where it needs to go. I forgot to turn it upside down. I turn it upside down. This is a very neat idea. I really like this idea. It makes a nice, good joint, strengthening the joint. Pull everything in line. Make sure when you set it down, it's straight, true, and in line. I have managed to get my angle a little off, but it is not bad. Maybe I'm just not got it squeezed together good. And it looks good. Okay, yeah, I think that's good there. Okay, Now, a lot of people take and cut out their notches ahead of time. I don't like to cut my notches. I feel that I get a crooked notches. I get my notches don't line up every time. So what I like to do is I like to put down my stringer. I'm going to put down my stringer here. Make sure I have a good straight stringer that fits all the way. And I'm going to lay this in place. You can see by the wood that how it has a broken line, or that the wood goes on top of it. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to now kind of glue that in place. Tack that down with a few little dots of glue. Don't need much, just enough to kind of give me a little bit of adhesive to the plastic here. Okay, and then I'm going to put this in place. And if your wood seems to be bowed a little bit, you can always turn your bow up and then press it down to make it flat, lay flat. Okay, now with that in place, then I will sand. I have already made me a sanding tool, but to make a sanding tool, we could take a little piece of our stock here, and then we glue some sandpaper to the edge of it. So this would be my 80 grit sandpaper. Actually, this says 150 grit sandpaper. Here's some 180 grit sandpaper, 80 grit. And you can then glue it to the edge of it, trim it with some scissors or X-Acto knife. And that's how we make a little sander. A little sanding block, which I saved mine because they work for more than just one application. And then once I will lay it flat down on top of my piece like this, holding it directly into place. And if I have to, I can do a touch up, clean up, make sure everything's nice, cleaned up here, where it makes a good, no splinters or nothing. I'm gonna lay it directly over the area where it goes. I'm gonna take a pencil and I'm gonna mark a line on the edge of the wood. Then I'm going to take my sanding block using my finger as a guide, so I can rest on the side of my finger. I'll look at what that mark is and make sure that I notch it out correctly. And I have drawn a line on that so I don't go so deep on my little sanding block. And then check my fit. And if the fit is good, then we'll glue it down. And it looks like it's setting nicely. Okay, I'm not going to glue that one down first, number one down first. The reason I'm not gluing that number one down first is because it gets a dihedral brace, but then I need to add a little more. I didn't put enough here to hold that in place. Try that again. Get it in place. That looks much better. Okay, I have got this piece here, W7, and the angle to show if you have the spelling correct, showing correctly, then that means goes down like this, and the angle will be at the top of the. So you can put that in place if you want. first, and I will. I'm going to add a little glue. Basically, I'm building exactly according to the plans here for the wing. No kind of extra special stuff going on here. Just building according to the plans. All right. Now, take my rib and glue it into place. I'm going to put some glue on the nose, glue in the notch. I'm not going to put the tail on yet. Now, if it rocks back and forth, then you got to remember the notch may have not been deep enough. So I'm going to take this back out. I'm using a little paper towel. One thing great about using the PVA glue is you have time to make a decision. I'm going to put this back in here. It might mess up my little sander just a little bit, but can't help it. I'm going to sand it out just a little bit deeper, trying to get the location a little deeper. Okay, that looks better. Okay, reapply the glue. Okay, I'm going to put glue on this dihedral brace. Okay, glue it in place. Try again. Now, looking straight down over the plans, you can see, we should be able to see that you're within the lines of the where you need to be. So if it looks good to your eyes, then it's probably good. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. I'm raking off a little excess glue now with this music wire. Make sure that I don't have too much built up. Okay. Now, to keep the models kind of straight, I'm going to go over here all the way to the tip, and I'll put in this one, this last one. This is a W6. I'm going to hold it in place just directly over. I'm going to put me a little line right there, using my finger as a guide. Make sure I'm not throwing my little sander away. Even doing it this way, sometimes you can get a little off. But if it don't line up for you, you can take a little emery board, put it in here, and kind of go right or left to the angle of the. I like also trying to dry fit first. Make sure that it fits. A dry fit. If it looks good, it's good. And we'll glue in place. All right. I'll just, that's get me squared up now. Making sure that the wing is in there straight. Squared up. I'll go ahead and start with number 2. Lay it here. In its correct location. Give myself a little mark. Now what I'm doing is putting making sure before I sand this, my little mark, I'm making sure that I have it at an exact location before I start sanding. Make sure I go deep enough. That last time I gotta go I gotta go above the line, not to the line. So there's a difference between You're cut on the line, cut past the line, cut in front of the line. You need to make that decision and check those areas so you know when you make a cut to get it as accurate as can be, that you're cutting to the line, you're cutting on the line, or cutting past the line, so you can keep it consistent and straight. Okay, we're going to put that in. We want to make it stand vertical, and then that actually touched the brace there. So we're going to put a little glue on that dihedral brace. Now, for competition building, you may want to even add a lot less glue than what I'm doing. They're trying to keep it super light. You will add very, very little glue. I'm not very fond of CA glue, as you can tell. So, CA glue, this dries very well, and it dries lightly. But they are better glues out there for competition building. It's called Ambroy glue. This is an old glue called Ambroy. It has a strong smell, but this is a contact cement. You literally have to put glue on both sides, give it a few seconds to kind of get dry, and then you add a little touch more glue to it, and it touches it together. But what's great about that glue is if you need to take it apart, you can use just a little acetone, and that acetone allows you to separate those areas to make adjustments. So it is a great glue, which it's very hard to find Ambroy because it's getting to be, but I don't like the smells. I don't like the strong odors. I'm sensitive to certain odors, so I just stay with the wood glue, or I can use thin CA. The thin CA is I use some thin CA occasionally. Like I'll show you right here's some that I've been using. I've got an applicator on a bottle here. I put some thin CA. See how it's like water? And by using that little applicator, then I can touch a little bit there, a little bit there. Make sure it stays in place for a second. And it's done. The thin CA works really well, and you can get it odorless. And I've taken off the sticker. The reason I took off stickers, I just kept the same little bottle, and then I bought a 2-ounce bottle, and then I just pour what I need into this little bottle and keep using from the same bottle. But like you said, like I've said in the past, the CA glue is brittle. To me, they break. The glue joint breaks. They may have better glues out there. So now, see, I'm having to go back. I don't trust it. So what I end up doing is going back and adding a little glue anyway. So to me, that's an extra step. Unless you do not care and you want to glue quickly and fast, and then you don't care because you just trust that it will stay together, and then let it go. Let it go. Let it go. There's a song that says let it go. Okay. I have tried all the glues, and I keep coming back to the PVA. It's just good glue. I don't have to be in a rush. I don't have to worry about if I stick it down and it don't go correctly. I don't have to worry about it staying immediately. I got time to adjust. I got time to work with, and it's not hard to do what I'm doing. Put a little glue on there, put it right into place. And I know that that is a great glue joint. That is a really good glue joint. I don't have to worry about that glue joint at all. Getting the next one. This will be the last rib. Standing in the location. If you do it ahead of time, sometimes you have one that needs to go. They sometimes are warped. You can't you went one too far up, one too far. So I wait till I'm ready to install them before I try to cut out these notches. So now the laser cut kits are a lot better because of course it's done by a computer and everything, but these die cut kits that sometimes put the pieces down in the right location and sometimes they don't. And years ago when I started building kits, all we got was printed balsa. They took and printed on the wood, and you had to take an X-Acto knife and cut out your own little pieces, and then you had to decide before you start cutting it out. Do I cut out on the line? Do I cut out and leave the line? Do you cut out and do I cut it out and oh man, it was a challenge, but we did it. Had a lot of fun with it. And I wish, in a way, they'd come back with some printed models, because you'd think that would be the cheapest way ever to sell a kit. Just the old vintage printed model. How could you go wrong with when it comes to inexpensive models? You give somebody a piece of balsa with just the parts printed on it. That had to have been the cheapest way to. That way, the cost could be very minimal. Anyway, let's see if I can. I'm gonna cut them ends off. I don't need them. So now this again has the area we can use that scarf joint. Now here's a location where this number 2 is a little bit long, and see, it's allowed me to rock back and forth, and I've got it correctly in the leading edge location, but at the back it ends up being a little bit long. So what can I do? I can sand away or make me a little pencil mark here, and then I can sand me a notch to where that would set inside of there. So let's try that. Cut this and notch it out, and then put it back in place. Okay, it looks like I got to go deeper than that, actually a lot deeper. Or if your knife is very, very sharp, you might could trim away a little bit. Let's see. Well, once you have it glued, you don't want to disturb your glue joint. So I'm going to I got a brand new straight edge here. It's a brand new straight edge, and it done the job. Let's double check it, make sure and it's still just so much longer. I'm going to go ahead and sand into this little area a little deeper. These little imperfections, or these little different locations in your model, really makes your model unique to you. You know, hey, that's my model. I know it's my model because you can tell by that little rib being a little bit longer than all the rest of the ribs, and it made me have to sand this location out. So there's no doubt that this is my model, because I had to adjust and make this work. There you go. That one fit in there now, and it's great. And now it's time to create that scarf joint, or cut it to a. I'm going to create the scarf joint again. Let's see if we can work that in again. cut that angle right there. Using my X-Acto blade here, I'm going to be very, very gentle, making multiple passes. And now that I've got me a little line made, I'm going to bring it over here to the side. Don't try to press hard. Take it little at a time. You will try its best to follow the wood grain, and you'll end up making a mess. So go gentle, but cut, make sure you're cutting. Check this for location. Make sure you get location. And it is. I'm going to glue that part in place first by doing a tap, tap, making sure it's in place. That little area there that I had to sand into place there. Getting glue on these tips. Put it into place. Okay, just turn this over, just like that, and this will get glued into place. Very happy with this. Now I see one little spot out here on the tip that hasn't extended the rib. It like comes out of the line, so I'm gonna mark me a mark there and sand it to make it fit into the location better. Just like that. Do another little spot right there. There it is. Okay, now I'll put this into place. I'm not worried about the part sticking past. Nope. Maybe I am using a lot of glue, but like I said, when it dries lightly. The moisture draws out of it, so. Make sure my mic's still on. Yep, it's still on. Put this in place. Okay, now I'll put some, I have some little bottles here. I'm going to set into place here to help hold that against that. Got some paint bottles. All right, there's really no need of me making you suffer through watching another side, because I'm just going to basically be doing the exact same thing. I will be putting the top on here a little bit, but I sand it as I go so that I don't have any kind of warped or crooked line. I want to make sure that my lines are straight. All right. Now I'll sand in that top, lay in a spar for the top, and that's it. Well, off camera we will do this other side exactly the way I done that one, and just basically follow the plans to make sure that I'm staying with the plans. And thank you Harvey for sharing how to make this scarf join. Check out his videos. Bye.